Most compost piles don't fail because people lack materials. They fail because the biology never gets the conditions it needs in the first 72 hours. That's the part almost nobody explains. If the initial build doesn't hit the right density, moisture, and carbon to nitrogen balance immediately, you don't get true composting, you get slow decay. And, slow decay is what turns into cold, half-rotted material months later instead of that black, crumbly soil people are after. What actually produces finished, dark compost in around 30 days is a controlled microbial surge. That surge only happens when the pile is built all at once, with the right ratio, the right particle size, and enough mass to hold heat. The formula is simple on paper, but the way it's applied is what makes the difference between a hot, fast pile and a useless heap that just sits there. Before getting into the build itself, it's worth addressing something that improves results dramatically, especially if there isn't constant access to fresh materials. Consistent input matters. Having a steady stream of nitrogen-rich material like food scraps keeps the system balanced over time, and that's where something like the Ouken 4-litre electric composter comes in. It processes kitchen waste into pre-composted material quickly, which integrates into the pile without slowing it down. It also reduces odor and space issues, which matters if composting is happening close to the house. The exact unit used is linked in the description, and if it's ordered through that link, it helps support more field-tested breakdowns like this. For deeper guides on compost systems and even simple builds that make the process easier, the email list is where those details are shared. The link is in the description. The formula that actually works is 2 parts carbon-heavy material to 1 part nitrogen-rich material by volume. In practical terms, that means dry leaves, shredded cardboard, or dry grass balanced against fresh grass clippings, kitchen scraps, or green plant waste. But here's where most people get it wrong. They layer it and walk away. That slows everything down. The faster method is to mix everything thoroughly from the start, so microbes don't have to travel through layers to find what they need. So, particle size actually matters more than most people realize. Whole leaves, sure, they will eventually break down, but honestly, they just don't belong in a 30-day compost system unless they're shredded first. Running leaves and greens through a mower or just chopping them down reduces the surface area the microbes need to attack. Smaller particles mean faster breakdown, higher heat, and you get a more uniform end product. In real terms, shredded material can cut composting time nearly in half compared to using whole inputs. The pile needs to be built with enough mass to actually generate and hold heat. About 1 cubic meter is the minimum threshold where this system really starts performing. Anything smaller than that just struggles to maintain temperature. As the pile is assembled, moisture has to be added gradually, so not soaked, not dry, something close to a wrung-out sponge. If a handful drips water, it's too wet. If it falls apart like dust, it's too dry. That balance, it controls oxygen flow, which directly affects microbial activity. Within 24 to 48 hours, a properly built pile will heat up pretty aggressively. Temperatures can climb to around 60 to 70 degrees Celsius. That heat isn't just a byproduct, it's really the engine of the process. It breaks down tough materials, kills weed seeds, and accelerates microbial reproduction. But, pushing it too far is a mistake. Once temperatures go beyond that range, microbial life starts collapsing and the pile slows down. That's why monitoring matters, even if it's just by hand. If it feels too hot to hold comfortably, it's time to turn it. Turning the pile is where control comes in. Around day 7 to 10, the outer materials are moved into the center and the inner core is broken apart. This reintroduces oxygen and evens out decomposition. Without turning, the pile compacts and shifts toward anaerobic conditions, which is where bad smells and slow breakdown come from. After the first turn, the pile usually reheats quickly, especially if the ratio and moisture were correct from the start. By the second week, the materials should no longer look like what they started as. Greens disappear first, while browns soften and darken. The volume drops, sometimes by nearly half. At this stage, adding a small amount of fresh nitrogen material, like grass clippings, can boost the system again, but only if the pile is cooling too early. This isn't about constantly feeding it, it's about maintaining momentum. Kitchen scraps are often blamed for slow compost, but the problem is usually how they're added. Large chunks rot slowly and attract pests. Breaking them down before adding them changes everything. Blending scraps into a slurry or chopping them finely allows them to integrate immediately into the microbial cycle. When mixed properly into the pile, they act as fuel instead of a problem. By week 3, the pile enters a transition phase. Heat begins to drop slightly, and the material starts taking on a uniform, dark appearance. It's not fully finished yet, but, it's close. At this point, texture becomes more important than temperature. A good sign is when the pile feels loose, slightly moist and earthy rather than sticky or slimy. At around 30 days, what you get is not just decomposed material, it's early-stage black compost, sometimes called compost mulch. You can use it right away as a soil conditioner, especially in beds where microbial activity is needed. However, letting it sit for another couple of weeks, really improves its stability and reduces the chance of nitrogen drawdown when you apply it directly to crops. What separates this method from slower composting approaches is honestly control. Instead of just letting time do all the work, this system creates the exact conditions microbes need to work at maximum speed. That means proper ratios, proper size, proper moisture, and enough oxygen throughout the process. If you miss just one of those, the timeline stretches out pretty quickly. There's also a common misconception that compost needs to sit untouched to mature. That's only true for passive systems. In a 30-day setup, what intervention is what actually drives the speed. Turning, adjusting moisture, and occasionally boosting nitrogen levels keeps the system active instead of letting it stall. The end result is what most gardeners are really looking for. Dark, crumbly, biologically active compost that improves soil structure, holds moisture, and feeds plants without synthetic inputs. It's not just fertilizer, it's a foundation that actually changes how the soil behaves over time. Once you understand this process and repeat it a few times, it becomes predictable. Materials go in, heat builds, the pile shrinks, and within a month you get usable compost coming out. That consistency is what makes it valuable, especially for anyone trying to produce their own soil inputs instead of relying on store-bought products. For gardeners who want better yields, stronger plants, and soil that improves every season, this isn't really optional. It's a system well worth mastering. And once you've got it dialed in, it becomes one of the most reliable ways to turn waste into something that actually builds long-term fertility. If this kind of practical, results-driven approach is what you're after, go ahead and subscribe to Hydro Haven and share this with someone who's still waiting months for compost that never quite finishes. And for more detailed systems, tool setups, and ways to make composting and gardening easier, just join the email list through the link in the description.